Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're filming this at night, and that is to go ahead and help eliminate some of the problems that we've been having with the lighting in the background washing out basically and creating, really bad lighting inside the shop here. So we're going to try this tonight, and we're going to see how this works out. So as you can see, we've gotten our bar painted. I did try getting some video footage of painting that, and it was so washed out that even the some of the editing tools that I had to go ahead and lighten up the shadows wouldn't fix it. So at any rate, as you can see, we've got it painted. So we're going to go ahead and pull Private Parts back into the shop, and we're going to get this thing installed. We're going to get the lights installed and everything else. And yeah, so let's get to it. Alright, now we've got Private Parts inside here. Let's go ahead and get this bar bolted on. Alright, there we go. Now we've also got the Adele clamps to hold the antenna wires put back in place. And this is going to be a rock solid mounting surface here for this stuff. We'll get the license plate mounted. Plate now for the lights. Now what I've done here is I've gone ahead and pulled the boots, these pieces right here, pulled these boots off so that I can easily get the wires through the holes here, and so we can get these things mounted. All right, there we go. Now, as you can see, we've got our lights installed. Now, what we're going to do is we have this great big harness here, and what we're going to do is we are going to determine whether or not this is going to work with this harness. So we're going to go ahead now. Alright folks, well, the GoPro shut off for whatever reason. The GoPros just don't seem to have any rhyme or reason as to why they shut off when they do. So any rate, we're going to finish this up tomorrow. We'll get it wired up. We'll get this get everything spliced together and everything tied down on this. And so stay tuned. All right, folks, it is the next day. We are going to go ahead, and the camera cut out last night, so I didn't get to tell you guys that we took that whole trailer harness that we had, and that we had zippy tied up onto the bar here, and pulled it all the way off because we found some wiring harness pieces in my out of my box of stuff here that I have no idea what it came from. But we're going to use that, and what we did is, instead of zippy tying it along the bar here, we were able to go ahead and stuff it down through the middle. So we'll be able to show you guys what we did there. So we've got the wiring harness stuffed down into the tube, and that actually, we're going to need to use some zippy ties here to go ahead and just kind of hold this up. But you know, we might try using an Adele clamp as well. I don't know. But at any rate, and we found this other piece of a trailer plug that was pretty trashed. So we cut it down, and now we've already identified, this is my tail light circuit, this is a left turn, this is right turn. And so we're going to cut it down a little bit shorter so that it comes out to about here. And then we'll go ahead and start splicing all these wires together. So at any rate, we're going to go ahead and get to that, because that is something that absolutely has to be done today. And then we'll go. Then, like I said, like I promised at the beginning of the video, we'll dig the survival supplies out, and we'll show you kind of how we've got old Pvt Parts set up. Okay, we've got to use this little clamp here to hold this in place while we solder it, because it just keeps moving around on me and I can't get a good solder joint on it. This is the connection for the license plate light. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a little piece of wire with these ends on it. We're going to plug one of them in here, and get it hooked together. And then we're going to run the wire. We got to figure out how long the wire needs to be. So I'm not going to bore you with the unraveling of the loom here. We'll show you what it looks like when I get it all done. All right, folks, we've got the tail lights working now, but the license plate light is not working, and that is because of this. We've got a burnout bulb. So what I've got to do is I'm going to have to go back into the parts stash, and hopefully I can find. Now, I had a whole bunch of military tail light assemblies and things like that I had I've collected over the years, and a bunch of them had light bulbs in them, and so I pulled all of those light bulbs out. So I've got to go find the box that has all of my 24-volt bulbs in it. So as soon as I get that found, then I'll be back. All right, well, I think we've got everything wired up. We've got a light bulb replaced in here. So let's go ahead and test everything out, make sure everything works. We should have tail lights, left turn signal, right turn signal, and brakes. So we've got it. So there we go. We've got our light bar, and what I'm going to do is a little bit later on, it'll probably be towards the end of the video after it gets dark, we're going to take Private Parts outside, and we're going to film from inside my Chevy Blazer at about, not what proper following distance is, because proper following distance doesn't mean squat. We're going to do it from the distance that I have observed most people following from, which is way closer than recommended following distance. And that way we'll go ahead and unplug the trailer plug here, and we'll show it with just the regular lights on, and then we'll go ahead and plug this in and we'll show you the difference. All right, so let's, at this point in time, we've got to take these wires here, cut them short, tape them up, and then we've got to tape this whole harness up and make sure everything looks good. So at any rate, let's go ahead and get to that. All right, and there we go. The only other thing that I may end up doing is we may end up tucking it behind, or getting, I think I'm going to get another Adele clamp, and probably find another one of these and Adele clamp it right here. We are going to have to kind of run a zippy tie over these wires here, because they did have to get kind of tucked back up. But that makes a nice, fairly clean. You know, this doesn't look super clean, but when you put the fuel can back on it, the fuel can's going to stick out farther than the trailer plug, and so it is going to be fairly protected there. So I guess the next thing we've got to do is clean up our mess, put the fuel can back on, and continue on to the next thing. One of the things that is absolutely imperative to carry with you when you go out into the wilderness around here, out in the desert especially, is water. If you don't have water and you get stuck, you could die. I mean, it's, you know, there's no, you know, polite way of putting it. You could end up being, you know, just a body that the search and rescue finds, you know, somewhere down the road. So at any rate, we need to carry 5 gallons of water, which I used to carry on the back where the fuel can is. However, last year I almost ran Private Parts out of fuel because I had misunderstood the fuel capacity. According to the TM, the fuel capacity for an M151A1 is 17 gallons. That includes the 5-gallon can that's on the back. So, and I did not fully realize that. Like I said, I damn near didn't make it home. And all I had was a water can on the back. And so now we're going to be carrying fuel, 5 gallons of fuel on board on the gas can out in the back where it's supposed to be every time. But we also need to carry 5 gallons of water with us. So the best way to do that, because it doesn't matter what I do, if I go ahead and try strapping a water can in the back here, all it's going to do is it's going to fall out, and it's going to end up all over the place. So we're going to put a fuel can here, or a water can here. I generally don't like punching extra holes in the Jeep, but this particular instance, it's necessary. So we're going to go ahead and mark these holes, get this positioned, mark these holes. Now we don't have the straps on it, so we're just going to end up using a ratchet strap until I can make some straps. All right, we've got it about where we want it, and so we're just going to mark these holes here. And okay, we are going to have enough room. Oh, good Lord, there's still a bunch of mud down underneath there, even after I wash this thing. Now, these are 3/8 holes. See if we can find some fender washers and see if some big fender washers, because you want to go ahead. This is going to be fairly heavy, and it's going to have a lot of top, load to it, and so it's going to want to sway back and forth quite a bit. So you want to spread this load out as much as possible. So let's see if we can find some big fender washers to go ahead and bolt that down. Alright, we were not able to find any fender washers. What I did find was these. I don't know where they came from, but I got 4 of them. So we're going to use those as fender washers. And we're also using lock nuts, grade 8 lock nuts. So you can see that little dimple right there. That means it's a lock nut. So it's a little different than the ones that we used on the 1/4-inch bolts, but it still will lock into place, and it ain't gonna go nowhere. Now with any of this stuff, you're going to want to check these bolts every once in a while, especially stuff that you know is going to see, a load on it, and you're going to want to check to make sure that you don't have, the sheet metal starting to crack, because it potentially could do that. Now probably for 90% of the 151 guys that have these things, you're not going to be taking them out and beating them in the desert like I do. But for those that do, any kind of mods like this, you're going to want to check it and, do probably a good yearly inspection on all of this kind of stuff, and at least a you know, and just kind of a cursory look over things every 6 months or so. And you know, if you've been on a particularly hard trail, then definitely you're going to want to inspect everything after that trip. All right, there we go. Now we'll get our water can, and we'll get a strap and get a water can strapped in. But at this point in time, I think what we're going to do is we're going to start showing you guys what we carry on Private Parts as far as spare parts, tools, and survival gear. Okay, the first thing we're going to start out with is the tools. We're going to fold our seat forward, take our safety strap, wrap it around the mirror bracket here. Now I know these mirror brackets were not the right side mirror brackets are not standard, but the dude that I got it from decided he wanted them on there. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what we have in here. We have the handle for the jack. We've got the tool bag, which we'll take that stuff out and show you. We have the tool. This is for the drain plugs, not just it's the engine oil drain plug and the transmission drain plugs and the differential drain plugs, drain/fill plugs. So we have the OE, their standard jack. Now, and then we've got a lug wrench, and then we have a large screwdriver in a you know, a piece of rubber there. So every once in a while it's a good idea to get in and clean this stuff out, especially if you run it in the you know, out in the hills very much. So let's go ahead and spread the tools out on the hood here. All right, we have a regular old tool bag. These tool bags, if you don't have one, you can find them on eBay. They're all over the place. And this one is not a Vietnam era one. You know, if you really want to find one that's, you know, period correct to your vehicle, just search eBay. Hammer. Ball peen hammer. And it looks like spare set of fan belts. Screwdriver. Important. Rags are important. Another smaller screwdriver. Now this is way more than the you know, the BII calls for. So we've got a pair of channel locks, and this is just stuff that in working on the Jeep I found that I need these wrenches in order to, you know, tighten up bolts, just about any bolt or nut on the vehicle. Now I do not carry a ratchet set with me, but what I do carry is an impact with a set of sockets, and I'll be showing you that here in a bit. So we just got this is an 11/16 box open end, 9/16, 3/8, 5/16. This is a 5/8 and 3/4 open end, crescent wrench, 1/2 inch 9/16, big pair of pliers, wire cutters, needle nose pliers, an electrical set of pliers so you can strip and crimp if you need to. I've got 4 NOS spark plugs still in the wrappers. Carry those with me. And then we don't have much in the way of Phillips head stuff on the 151s, but a number 2 Phillips, a number 3 Phillips, and this will also help me out if I have to help somebody else out on the trail, which I have had to do in the past. Unfortunately, generally, you know, for the most part, most everybody else is like side-by-sides and stuff like that, so it's going to be all metric. So, but 1/2 inch and 13 millimeter are pretty close. 14 millimeter and 9/16 are pretty close. And I think 7/16 and 10 millimeters fairly close. But you know, so I've got an assortment of wrenches, and then I have a spark plug wrench, so that I can change the spark plug if I have to. At any rate, that's what I carry as far as tools. So we'll get these packed back up, and then all right, the next thing we're going to look at is this bag here. And this bag, this little tool bag, carries an electric impact. You can see I'm down to about 2 bars on the battery, so before I go back out, I'm going to need to charge this battery. I have this little wrench here, 7/16 and 1/2 inch. This helps with when I have to go ahead and install. Actually, I don't need it so much anymore, but it's always a good little wrench to have around. I've got this deal here. This has got some radiator stop leak in it, and a little bit of friction tape around it. Roll of friction tape. Friction tape is similar to electrical tape. And then we have a whole slew of sockets. Some of them are 3/8, and these are impact sockets. A little piece of fuel hose. This is an 11/16 socket with a little extender and a 1/2 inch down to 3/8 adapter, because this is a 3/8 gun. We've got some more 1/2 inch or 3/8 sockets. I've got this one here is 13/16, and it's a chrome one, but I don't have any 13/16 impact sockets, so that's what I got. More sockets. That's from something else. So if I need to use a socket on anything, you know, this is the bag that I go to. And I've got some little hose clamps in here, and I don't know why the heck I've got that in there. That's for a Volkswagen. So at any rate, that's what I carry in that bag. And believe me, boy, when I had that flat out last year, I was with a club, and they were all mostly side-by-side guys, and one of the guys had a jack with a 3/4 inch hex on it. I was able to do a tire change on Private Parts here once I got that jack, because my original one was broke. It wasn't any good, and so fortunately he came by and he had a jack, and so I was able to use that, and well, I was able to get the tire change quicker than quick. So at any rate, the electric impact gun, if you can afford to carry one with you, it's a good idea. Okay, the next thing we're going to show you guys is what I carry in the way of spare parts. This box here is where I carry the spare parts. And this latch is pretty good, so it's kind of a pain to get open. First thing we have is this box here that has a spare coil. And then we also have another spare set of spark plugs, distributor cap, rotor, and a new electronic ignition unit. And then we've also got another set of spark plugs here. So we keep this packed nice and well with a towel. Upper radiator hose. We've got a fuel spout in here in case this one here, and actually this one here, I don't know why it's in there, because it leaks. So we have a bottle here with gear oil, and it's not completely full, but it'd be enough to get you back. Lower radiator hose. And then this bag here has a spare electric fuel pump. This one here, I'm not 100% sure on how well it works, but I have tested it and it does work. This will probably be enough to get me home if need be. I also carry a bunch of red rags in here, hose clamps, a spare fuel filter, hose clamps, another radiator cap. It's a used one, but it's, you know, the rubber on it is still good. We carry a spare water pump. It's a used one, but the gasket on it is still stuck onto the water pump itself. So I would feel comfortable using this in an emergency. That's the reason why it's in there. And then we have this can here that is full of engine oil. We also have a bag here of just miscellaneous little nuts and bolts. I think there's a couple of these in here. Spare lug nuts. At least one. If worse comes to worse, then, you know, I could always pull, you know, like one lug nut off of any of the other wheels, and that would be enough to get me home. And then the last thing that we have is a complete fuel pump. And this one has been tested. It works. It's not pretty looking, but it'll get me home. And this is, we keep this wrapped up in a, I think it's an old bedspread or something like that. I don't know. But it is really important to keep stuff like this wrapped up. So that's what I carry in the way of spares. If anything else, any worse than this happens, then, you know, then I'm going to be calling somebody to help tow me home. This box here, obviously we're going to keep our fuel spout. You just saw us move over. I've got a first aid kit here. Now this one is, I don't remember who made this one, but it has, you know, boo-boo type items. Well, no, yeah, it's got boo-boo type items here, and then we've got a trauma bandage, and then some Kerlix gauze. And so this one is the kit that I go for, you know, if I, you know, cut myself or something like that, you know, non-life threatening injuries. But it also has, you know, the big bandage and stuff in case, you know, of life-threatening injuries. And this is not the only first aid kit that I carry with me. So but this one here is, you know, it's a trauma / boo-boo kit. We carry an entrenching tool, and this one is one of the trifold entrenching tools. So I don't remember what the date is on this one, but that doesn't really matter. But a good trifold, or a good, you know, entrenching tool, because you know, even though I'm carrying the shovel on the side of the Jeep, you know, this is for nature type situations, when you have nature's call. Okay, this is a soft shackle. If you don't know what the soft shackles are, they are for recovery. You can go ahead and wrap them around stuff, tighten this up, and then with a kinetic rope, you know, it'll if you've got somebody with you, it'll help get you extracted. We have this piece here. This is a base plate for the jack. If you have to jack this thing up in the sand, you know, or any real loose, which is, you know, by and large what we have around here, as soon as you get off the hard packed roads, the ground around here is really soft. And so this will help spread the weight out a little bit, and it's perfectly sized for you to set the stock jack into. And then down in here, and I'm not going to pull it all the way out, we have a kinetic recovery rope. This particular one is a Matt's recovery rope from Matt's Off-Road Recovery, and the same thing with the soft shackle. Now these have loops on the end like this, and so I can just go ahead and clip this loop into the, you know, onto the pintle in the back, or one of the shackles in the front. And so this stuff ends up here in the back, and where it's easy to get to, quick and easy to get to. And I don't carry a lid on this one here, just because I just don't. The next thing we've got my ice chest. And you can see I've got an extra radio mount there that the ice chest is strapped down to. And this is, you know, just carrying water, cool water, and things like that. And then I've got this hose here that the hose is attached to the ice chest, so I don't have to take the ice chest out in order to drain the water out. One of the other things that I carry is glass cleaner. Glass cleaner is a good idea to have, especially, you know, I have to use it because a lot of times I have the camera mounted inside the windshield, and you know, if I go through the mud and stuff like that, then nobody can see it. Or, you know, then it goes ahead and screws up the, you know, the video. So anyway, one other thing that I do carry, and I will be strapping it on to the water can, and I'll show you that here in just a minute, is a canvas water bucket. Now let me see if I can find where I put that canvas water bucket at. This is a GI canvas water bucket, collapsible water bucket. This one was made in 1945, but I go ahead and I always carry this with me, because even though, even though we're out here in the desert, we do have water out here, and there's streams, there is springs, so there's water sources around if you know how to look for them. Okay, these are some of the other things that I carry with me. This is another first aid kit. This is a, and it doesn't have to be anything super heavy duty like any of this stuff that I have. This is a current issue, or fairly current issue, IFAC, individual first aid kit. And so it has, not so much the boo-boo stuff, but it's Israeli bandage or compression bandage, 4-inch hemorrhage control bandage, some Kerlix gauze, some duct tape, a pen, and then this is a pharyngeal airway, which I don't know how to use. This I would only, refer to somebody who, if we had somebody that had that medical expertise, and some gloves. So this one goes with me, and so it's definitely a nice kit to have, that's for sure. I'll pack that up later. Next thing is a pair of, I've got a pair of cat tourniquets. These are, let's see if I can get this one open. There we go. Basically, it's a tourniquet. This is for use, if you have, somebody who has like lost a limb or something like that. This will go ahead and stop that bleeding, or if you have somebody who's got extreme trauma to an extremity, an arm or a leg. This is stuff that I carry in case, I have a bad wreck. I try to drive as careful as I possibly can, but there's an awful lot of people out there that don't. And so, that's the reason why I carry some of these first aid supplies. If you don't know how to use a tourniquet, by God, learn. Carry one with you and learn. The next thing I usually carry a pair of binoculars. Any old good, quality pair of binoculars will do. I carry with me a radio. This is a Baofeng UV5R. It's programmable, and I have search and rescue programmed on this radio. So this radio with a different adapter, I can go ahead and hook this up to my the small antenna that I have on Pvt Parts here. And for the longest time, this is what I used at the races to communicate with. It's only 8 watts. It's not going to reach out, across the mountains and the seas. But if you have, if you're stuck, broke down, or something like that, and somebody calls search and rescue for you, you can talk to them. Now we get to the big bag. The front pouch here, the bag is an ATS made by Advanced Tactical Solutions. I think that's what the name of it. But it's their RAID 2 pouch. It is heavy freaking duty. It, do not, if you can at all possibly avoid it, don't get a Walmart bag or something like that. Stay away from Voodoo Tactical and things like that. The packs look real good. The material seems to be pretty good, but the buckles are crap on those. So at any rate, the front deal here has a bag. In the front of the bag, I've got in this net pouch, I've got a little titanium spork and a little fork and spoon. I was on a, get cool guy stuff kick several years ago, and so that's the reason why I carry these. Inside the bag, we have fire starter. We've got a pair of chem lights. Whoops. Fling it back. Sharpie marker. Sharpie marker, if you have to leave a note for somebody, on, somewhere, Sharpie marker is a good thing to have. I've got a regular writing stick here, regular pen. Yes, and it actually is a U.S. government one. They actually still work. A Gerber tool, Gerber or Leatherman, whichever you prefer. And then I've got another little pocket knife here. This is, a little Browning folding knife. They're always good to have. And then inside here, I have these little cases, and they carry batteries. I got, CR123 batteries for flashlight that I used to carry. The one I carry now mostly takes AA, so I'm going to have to update that. And that also brings up a good point. Go through your bags every once in a while. Make sure that you're still carrying the stuff that you need to be carrying. This little pack here is made by Spec Ops. The nice thing about it is that I can go ahead and just pull this bag out of this pouch here and take it over to where I'm going to be setting up camp, or or something like that. So this bag is not light, that's for sure. This little pouch here is another little boo-boo pouch. It's got Band-Aids, little things like that. Always a good idea too to carry Imodium with you, because nothing will dehydrate you and mess you up faster out in the desert than getting the trots. You do not want that. Imodium, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, whatever your headache pill of choice is, that's a good idea to carry some of that. This pouch on the side here carries my Jetboil stove. These things are awesome. You can boil water in about a minute in one of these things. If you don't know anything about them, look them up online. I carry the Jetboil, and which has a canister of fuel inside there, and then in the bag here there's another canister of fuel. So 2 canisters of fuel and the Jetboil. I use this almost every time I go out. Water purification is critical. If you run out of water in your, bottled water or whatever, your good known sources, you can boil water in one of these things quick, and that's how that's one way to purify it. In this pouch here, I've got a little Gerber hand axe, good for chopping up firewood, kindling wood. And then also down in here is a Gerber little saw. This is good. You get yourself into a spot where you need to cut some brush down to get yourself through, or get yourself out, or to get yourself some firewood. This thing here works really well. It's not as dangerous to swing as a hatchet. You've got way more chance of losing digits with this thing here than this. And this thing here also comes with a spare blade. couple of spare blades. So that is stuff that I carry with me. This bag usually will go with me in any vehicle that I'm going out into the boonies with. And also, if I'm traveling to across the Sierras, I will generally throw this in the back of the truck. On this side here, this is probably something that has garnered the most attention. This is a Charter Arms little survival rifle. You can see these things in, there's a James Bond movie where he uses one of these things as a sniper rifle, which is a bunch of crap. The buttstock comes off, barrel stored in the back here, the action, and then a magazine. These are also, the stock here is watertight. If you live in a state where you can have one of these, or someplace you can have one of these, this one was made by Charter Arms, but I think Henry is making a brand new version of this. So that I generally won't take with me when I go to California. Just because California just frickin' don't know what their laws are from one minute to the next. We've got this here in this pouch, and this is it's a little microfiber towel. Good thing to have, you know, especially if you're out wheeling or you're out when it's cold and you get yourself wet. Get yourself dried off as quickly as you can. And inside here, we carry, this is a flare gun. 26, I think it's a 26.5 millimeter flare gun. You can get these surplus. They used to be really cheap. They're not so cheap anymore. This is good for signaling aircraft or signaling people if you need to. Be careful. Don't frickin' do anything stupid and light the desert on fire or the forest on fire. Got some more chem lights here. Earplugs. You never know when you might need those. We've got another little brown towel here. You know, it doesn't have to be military or something. PT belt, a reflective belt. If you are broke down or you are out and somebody's looking for you, especially when it starts getting dark, have one of these, or a high-vis vest would work as well. This will go ahead and, you know, people will see you. Water bottle here. This is a Camelback water bottle, and it has, this is a water purifier, the UV water purifier. And so it's rechargeable. Matter of fact, I need to take this one in and make sure it's got a charge on it. But you know, you'll fill this water bottle up, you screw that top on there, and there's directions right on the side of the bottle, and it will go ahead and purify that water. Even if you're getting water from a, you know, beautifully clear mountain stream, there's probably nasties in it that could make you sick. And that's where the Imodium comes in handy as well. So next thing up is a poncho liner, and this is actually a poncho liner that's been sewn together to make a sleeping bag. I'm not going to unroll this whole thing, but a poncho liner has been sewn together, so you've got a nice lightweight sleeping bag there. A VS-17 signal panel. You can go ahead and put this over the hood of the Jeep or the top of the Jeep or someplace else to go ahead and either mark where you're going or mark where you're at. And so that if there's aircraft searching for you, they can see that. I don't even remember what's in here. Oh, there's another water purifier. This one's an MSR. I don't remember what model it is, but this is another water purifier. Most of the water that I'm going to run into out here in the desert is probably going to be at a stock tank or a spring that is used by livestock. And so you have to purify your water. And so this little bag here is full of fire starting material. This stuff here for the survival rifle, 22, doesn't matter what it is, 22 of preference. I usually carry about 3 or 4 boxes in there. This bag here has got a poncho in it, a USGI wet weather poncho. Keeping yourself dry is critical, and if you're driving in a 151 where the top is open and it starts dumping raining, you'd be happy to have one of these. I got 22s all over the place in here. It's an extra t-shirt. Extra pair of underwear and a couple extra pairs of socks in Ziploc bags. So that is what I carry anytime I go out in the hills. This is, you know, it's heavy and it's bulky, but, and I have been fortunate enough, well, I mean, let me rephrase that. I have been fortunate enough to only be stuck out overnight once, and that was probably 20-something years ago. I was out four-wheeling I had a great big old 72 Jeep Wagoneer, and I was four-wheeling in the Sierras, and I got down into a spot where, you know, it was slushy snow to get down into. When I went to come around and go back, it wouldn't go. I could not make it back up the hill. And so because of that, I used the survival gear that was in my truck, and of course I didn't have anything near as nice as this at that time. I had but I had a pretty good survival kit as it was, and so I was able to start a fire. I was able to keep warm all night, and then next morning I had planned to walk back out, but when the slushy snow froze over and it was hard, I just drove right out. There was no problem. So at any rate, having a well-stocked survival kit is really important to carry with you when you go out in the hills. So at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff packed back up, and then I think it's getting dark enough that we'll go out and show you how well these taillights work. Okay, we are about, I'm going to say, probably close to 60 feet, 50 to 60 feet behind Pvt Parts right now. We're in the Blazer. We have the high beams on. There's low beams, and I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick this up. I may have to tweak with it a little bit to get it so that you guys see what I'm seeing. So at any rate, that is with just the stock taillights on. You can hardly see them with just those stock taillights on. So I'm going to run up there and plug the auxiliary lights back on, and you'll be able to see the difference. Okay, that is with the auxiliary lights on. So you can see that it is a whole lot brighter, and you have the lights up higher so that you know, people coming at you are going to should have a better chance of seeing you, or it's a better chance of seeing me. And so that's the reason why. Now, like I said, I've got high beams on, low beams on. I think that this is going to be a good safety modification for private parts, for running around, you know, at night. And I'll feel a lot better about traveling on the highways at night around here. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you found this episode educational and enjoyable. One thing that a couple of things that I forgot to mention when I was doing my the survival bag thing was, if you're on any kind of medication, high blood pressure, diabetes, you know, anything, always, if you're going to be out for one day, take 3 days worth of your meds with you. If you are on insulin, if you're a diabetic that's on insulin, put your insulin in a little bag, a little Ziploc bag, heavy duty one, throw it in your ice chest. You should be carrying an ice chest with you. And that way, if something happens and you're stuck out overnight or for a couple of nights, you've got your meds with you. You know, I have, you know, meds that I take on a regular basis. So, you know, I carry that stuff with me as well. So, at any rate, I think that pretty much does it, except for one little thing. Charging system still isn't working. I think I know what the problem is, but that's going to be for the next video. So, at any rate, thanks again for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.